Clinton Portis on the VIP line right now. Nick and Cecil here on the Fan. Clinton, good evening. Welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us tonight, man.
What's going on, man? Appreciate you all having me.
Yeah, appreciate you and you're taking time with us and just your game, man. Back-to-back 1,500-yard seasons with the Denver Broncos to start things out. As a rookie, you didn't really get started until what, like week 4, week 5, something like that, top of my head. So what was it about your game that was you were able to make such an instant and huge impact for the Broncos so early on?
I think it got started week 4. It was just that determination, man. I think I came into the league so angry and, about not being a first-round pick. And I had some supportive teammates that wanted to see me on the field. And kind of once I got my opportunity, they bust their butts to scream me. I think a lot of the guys, you look at Mike Anderson and Rod Smith, Eddie Mack, Shannon Sharp, a lot of those guys, Reuben Drones, played such a huge role. And then with Bobby T, it was you weren't getting on the field till Bobby T felt like you had the all-around game. That was running the ball, not missing assignments, blocking and all. So, I think those 4 weeks built up so much anticipation that once I got my opportunity, it was just I'm not looking back.
So, Clinton, what was it like being a running back here for the Denver Broncos? Because it seemed like there was a certain amount of pressure associated with kind of being that bell cow back for Mike Shanahan. So did you look at yourself like every single game you had to get over a certain amount of yards to be taken serious around the league?
Man, I think I thrived under pressure. And being in the AFC West at that time, you had probably 4 of the best backs in the NFL at the time. And LaDainian, Priest, and Charlie Gardner was in Oakland. So 6 weeks you had to bring it because those guys were definitely going to bring it. So then you look at the rest of the schedule. We were playing Seattle often, going up, and they had who was Seattle running back?
Sean Alexander, Alabama. Was it? Was it Sean Alexander?
Yeah, they had Sean. Yeah. They had Sean Alexander. Corey Dillon was in Cincinnati. We played Cincinnati. Of course, the Patriots was winning. So you look at the teams we were playing. The Colts had edge. We played the Colts a couple times. So week in, week out, you were battling a top back. So it was just a determination. At that time, running backs knew they were going to get the ball, and normally whoever had whichever running back had the best game got the W.
Clinton Portis, former Denver Broncos running back, joining us. Nick and Cecil here on the Fan. And Clinton, I've talked to Terrell Davis plenty of times, hanging out, having cold pops with TD, any chance that he's in town. He always would get peeved when people would say system running back. And obviously TD, a Hall of Famer, a very special back. You, a very special back as well. Like TD, did you ever get mad when people would say, oh, well, that's the Shanahan system. Anybody can run in that system?
Man, they give credit to who they want to give credit to. You look at Coach Shanahan, who had an amazing offensive system. Guys don't say that about Kubiak's system. Kubiak was the offensive coordinator. So
right.
What about Kubiak's system? If you look at Kyle and the success he's had with running backs going to Atlanta, in D.C., being out in San Francisco, you look at those backs. People don't say, well, oh, that's Mike Shanahan's system. Those backs were in the same exact system and had the same exact opportunity. So, I think TD was a dog. He's a Hall of Famer. Myself. You look at all the backs. Landis Gary just had a different determination. Mike Anderson was a hard worker. Reuben Drones, hard worker. Those guys given opportunity. You got opportunity in Coach Shanahan's system, so that allows you to have success. If you had a ball in your hand, you need to be able to provide, and I think that's what it do. But it's going to be hard work, and then you can't discredit the O-line. The O-line was outstanding at their job, putting a body on people and cutting them to give you lanes. So as a running back, I think with enough repetitions, you feel comfortable and you trust your offensive lineman enough to say, okay, he's going to do what he needs to do, so let me do what I need to do. And then if they get you to the second level, it's on you.
All right, CP, two-part question. If you could change anything about 2003, would you change your mind about being traded to Washington? And second part, if you finish your entire career as a Denver Broncos, running back, how many yards do you think you would finish your career with?
Man, I don't let that bother me. I think having the opportunity. I was so young in Denver, 20 and 21, and just fun, full of life, and looking for an opportunity. You had so many amazing players. Again, with Shannon Sharp, Rod Smith, Eddie Mack, that taught me the game, and I was 10th, 12th on the totem pole. Brian Greasy, Jake Plummer. I was 12th on the totem pole in the Denver Broncos locker room because you had defensive players, Al Wilson, John Mobley, Ian Gold. You had so many players that had already made a statement and was a household name within that Denver Broncos organization that when the opportunity came, it was just, I was excited to be able to lead an organization that needed help. So I don't look back at my time and say, oh man, I wish I would have stayed in Denver, because I let people determine that. I think the success that I had in DC was actually more work than I put in Denver, because in Denver it was kind of taken for granted. It was, oh man, I know what I'm going out to get. Then all of a sudden you get to DC where you're the focal point. You're every week they game plan to stop you. In the NFC East, defense was totally different than the AFC West. You look at the AFC West at the time, and it was putting up stats. Drew Brees and LaDainian Tomlinson, Priest Holmes in Kansas City, the Oakland Raiders. I remember Gannon went 36 for 38 against us. You know what I mean? So you look at it was two different alignments, because once you got to that NFC East, it was defense being played. Dallas had DeMarcus Ware. New York had Strahan, O.C. Umenyiora, Tuck, and the Eagles always had an outstanding defense. So it was, it was going to be 3 yards in a cloud of dust, or maybe a brick wall that you had to run through. It wasn't going to be in the shootouts. We played in some shootouts in Denver. It wasn't going to be shootouts in the NFC East. It's going to be, hey, when you look at the score, it's going to be 13-10, 10-7, 6-9. You weren't getting 28 points and 31-28. In the NFC East, you were getting 16-14. Every game came down to final possession, whether you made the field goal or missed the field goal or got an opportunity to kick the field goal. So for me, I think that was kind of the difference, and people don't give you credit for how hard it is when you're the focal point. That's what, people don't, when every game plan is dictated to stop you from having success, and you still achieve, you still go out and put up numbers, you still go out and do. What happened in Denver was we had wins. We got to the playoffs. What I didn't do in D.C. was get the organization to the playoffs more often. So that was the difference. I think if we would have gotten to the playoffs more often in D.C., then the story would be totally different. Like, people don't come to the realization, out of those 7 years in D.C., 3 of them I went on IR. 3 out of those 7 years, before half season, I went on IR. I had the concussion, shoulder, hand, and then I tore my groin. So that's 24 games a year. I mean, that's 24 games that I missed. Think if I played in those 24 games.
Right.
In 15 of those games, I had 100 yards. You're talking about 11,000-yard rushing.
Talking about
I mean?
one of
So
the best
people
running backs. That's right. Clinton Portis joining us here on Nick and Cecil. And CP, I got to ask you about the Melvin Gordon, Phillip Lindsay situation, because people are like, well, what are the Broncos going to do now that they have 2 1,000-yard rushers on the same team?
Well, I think what Phillip Lindsay has done over the last 2 years has been amazing. Melvin Gordon had an opportunity out in San Diego to do something really special, even with Austin Eckler, the guy he shared the backfield with in San Diego. And then they had Phillip Rivers. He had an opportunity, and I think it really threw him off. The realization of business interferes with the mind when you're playing football. When you go and put in all of this work, when you bust your butt for an organization and it comes time to get paid and it's an issue, instead of them just saying, hey, you know what, you've done all this work for us. What do you want? Here's the market. what do you want us to do, and let us figure out a way to get close to that number. Instead, they play games. And once you start getting in that game, you realize, man, my value, where I feel like I'm valued and I should be valued is not the same. So you start looking at the league as a business instead of the joy and the fun that you come into it with. I came into this league with so much joy and fun, and I'm at the Pro Bowl. I get traded while I'm at the Pro Bowl down there. You know what I mean? Like, the business kick in, and I'm, like, clueless to this even happening. And it happened so fast, it's like, hey, I'm at the Pro Bowl representing the Broncos, the story break, which I was so oblivious and clueless of, and then all of a sudden, a month later, I'm watching the Redskins. You know, so when the business kick in, it kind of overshadows that steam, that enjoyment that you come into the NFL with, that excitement. You look at so many guys. Lamar Jackson just won MVP off of that same excitement, off of all the naysayers, off of all the doubters who said, hey, this kid needs to play wide receiver. He was the MVP of the NFL.
Well, CP, we always talk about the business of football, and you just touched on something, the football business. Back in 2003, you rushed for 5 touchdowns in a single game, and this is in the NFL where people kind of devalue the running back position. But for those individuals who have that mindset that it's all about the quarterback and you can push the running back to the side, what would you say to those individuals right now?
Man, look at the teams that's been in the Super Bowl. All those teams have a running game. Going back to Atlanta, if Atlanta runs the ball, they win a championship. If Seattle hand the ball off to Marshawn Lynch, they win a championship. Yep. Kansas City Chiefs, because of the emergence of their running back in the playoffs, they won a championship. You see what I'm saying? The New England Patriots, although they do it with system backs, they do it with running back by committee, not system back. They do it with running back by committee, so you don't know which one of their backs is going to come out and bust you up, but they have a running game. So the Los Angeles Rams, when they got to the Super Bowl, Todd Gurley, you look at Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram in the Saints, you know what I mean? You can't devalue the running back position because the teams that survive in the playoffs all have running backs. They're all capable of running the ball along with being able to throw the ball when need be, you know? So I just think it's hard to devalue that position because to me it's still the toughest position in the game. You don't get as many carries, so you don't get the wear and tear, and backs aren't asked to block anymore. No one chips in the NFL. No one is running max protection. So that takes some wear and tear and extend these guys' careers. But, man, it's hard to devalue the running back position. Look at what Philip Lindsay, the excitement he brought back to the Denver Broncos when you had 5 quarterbacks that you paid $20 million a year over that span, you know? So you're still looking for quarterbacks and can't get it right, but your running back is carrying the organization.
Well, CP, really quickly, we got about 30 seconds. I know you've been seeing what has been happening, you know, around the country, around the world, and I just want to give you an opportunity to, you know, speak to the people here in Broncos country and give them a little inspiration and something positive to walk away with as we try to move forward with this current situation that we're dealing with.
You know, man, right now I think the world is looking at black and white in the division. And the great thing about Denver, people always ask me, how was Denver? How was Denver? And I say, you know what? That was a community that loved their athletes. The Denver community showed so much love. Denver never seen black and white. It never seen the color of your skin matter. Denver is a clean city. It's a city that supports one another. I could think of guys getting in trouble and the police actually helping to make sure, hey, you know what, I'm going to call Mike Shanahan. I'm going to call this individual within the Denver Broncos organization so this doesn't hit the media. And you look around the world and you just wish that other police stations could get on the same wavelength with their community because there's so many people that's positive within the community, not just athletes. You have high school coaches. You have so many people that's doing influential stuff, your everyday workers, your garbage pickup, your teachers, your PE, whatever it is. And we're just not finding it out because we have to homeschool our kids due to this pandemic. So you have so many cities that just need to come together and show more love. It's not about the police brutality. It's not about anything. As a man, if I see Nick Ferguson doing something wrong, I'm going to speak up. I'm going to tell Nick, nah, bro, that's wrong. If I see Nick put his hands on a woman, if I know this is what you're doing, that's dead-ass wrong. We need more voices to stop supporting and covering up for people that's doing wrong and allow your voice to be heard and say that's wrong. If me and you have to fall out because I'm stopping you from ruining your life or ruining somebody else's life, then fuck it. I don't care if you don't like me. It's fine. But I'm going to go to sleep at night feeling like, you know what, I stopped Nick from making a dumb decision. Nick might be mad at me. Eventually, one day, he's going to get over it, and we're going to have a peace treaty to where we're on the same wavelength. Not to embarrass you, it's just telling you the honest-to-God truth. So if I see a man put his neck in another man's, hey, bro, what are you doing? He's already laying down. You know, and so many videos have surfaced where the police are kind of igniting the situation by throwing people. Bro, treat people with respect. Conversation is the easiest way. If me and you both yelling, no one hears the other one. And I'm going to get mad and you're going to get mad. The only difference is you have a badge to carry your pistol and you could pull out and you're going to get off. I can't. So instead of us igniting and escalating the situation, talk it out like men. Go back to those days. Have this conversation. You let me know what I'm doing, or I let you know how I feel about this situation. If I'm wrong, take me down to the station and book me. Tomorrow, I'm still alive. I get out, and I can do this in front of a jury. And I just think that's the situation. More conversation, more people need to go back to the understanding that that's a human being. If it was your mother, if it was your brother, if it was your daughter, how would you react when you see someone treat your people that way? Always be kind to people. Always be respectful to people. And I think the world would be a much better place. We've just lost the idea of respecting one another because social media allows bravery. Everyone is cooped up. No one talks or communicates anymore, and it's all about materialistic. Go back to conversing amongst everybody, sharing the love, going, talking to your neighbors. Hey, I need a loaf of bread. I ran out. I need to borrow some hot sauce. Know the people around you. Support one another and love on one another more often. And I think that Denver, the city of Denver, was always great in that aspect to me. I tell people all the time, the amazing thing about Denver is you never felt out of place. You never experienced any of it. It was always love. And that's what more cities need.